Welcome back to Chico and the Grin. This is August 24th, 2017, and we're here to bring you more crazy shit. I'm half your host. I'm Chico, and I'm here with Mr.
Grin.
And we're back for another episode. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for everybody who's followed us on social media. It's been fantastic. We're happy we have a little bit of a following going on. People interacting with us and liking our posts. It's it's a little thing, but it helps us a lot. Gives us a lot of encouragement to keep on making stuff, right?
That's right. Especially on Instagram. It's like if you like anything that we post, pictures, memes, whatever, leave a comment. Let us know. But also let us know where you're coming from, where we're reaching you, connecting with.
Yeah, let us know how you found us. If you found us through Facebook, if you found us through Instagram, if you found us on iTunes, wherever you found us, let us know. We'd be happy to hear from you.
We're not on SoundCloud anymore, bitches.
Nope, we had a switch. Apparently,
Upgrades.
SoundCloud's going out of business, right?
Not anymore.
What?
Not anymore.
So we switched, and then they're not going out of business?
No, we switched because it was the best thing to do. But
okay.
At the last minute, I received an email, I think it was last week, that I'm tongue-tied. Last week, I got an email that said that they received funding to continue for another year or something.
Huh. Well, I mean, if they're going to receive funding for just one more year, then might as well switch anyway. So now we're on a new podcast hosting host.
Yes.
But we're still, we're still good. We're still on iTunes and all that. We're on Google now. We're on Google Play. So if you're a Google Play person like I am, you'll be happy to know that that will be on Google Play. Funny, I couldn't find us when we got approved, but
I found us.
It was weird, man. Every time I kept searching, I couldn't find anything. But I ended up getting a new podcast client that I guess searches all the RSS feeds, and I was able to find it. So it's pretty cool to see, our podcast come up on an app that I use. It's trippy,
Yep.
It's like, whoa. You always look at the podcast and you're like, oh yeah, with Jerry or whatever podcast you listen to, right? Hardcore History, and you're like, oh, this guy's a professional. He, this is what he does. Yeah. No wonder he's on iTunes or Google Play or wherever. But when you search your own podcast and you see it come up, you're like, whoa, this is real. We have a real thing. It's trippy.
Yeah, I know. The first time when I saw us on iTunes, I was happy as shit, man.
It's good, right? It's cool. It's like making it to the big leagues. Like, we did it. We did it.
Even though it didn't cost anything, I felt like it was just an achievement.
Yeah, it is.
All we had to do was fill out a form, but still, it felt
but come on.
It felt like, wow, it's there.
That's what I'm talking about. That's great. And then, and I guess, a lot of people probably just, are like whatever about it. But when you tell somebody, oh yeah, we're on iTunes, they're like, oh, you're on iTunes. Yeah. And you're like, yeah, we're on iTunes. It's one of those things that people get super hyped about. Like, oh man, my friend runs a podcast and his podcast is on iTunes. And everybody's like, oh, that's really impressive. They must be really good. Like, yeah, he only has 5 episodes and talk about dicks most of the time, but whatever. But what's going on with you, Smalls? What's going on with you? Anything new?
Yeah, the last few weeks I've been kind of laying low. I got a lot of stuff going on in the personal side of things. So just to keep me from stressing and just, losing my mind, I've been just, like I always do, focus on art. This past weekend I took a trip to the Met once again. That's I love that place. I love going to the Met. But there was an exhibit that I saw, which was very, very good, very good. And I want to go back and check it out. It was it was a very small exhibit, but it was powerful. Man, how could I describe it? All right, well, let me start from the beginning. It was an exhibit on artwork from World War I. So it was everything from artwork used in newspaper articles, magazine covers, propaganda posters, everything from illustrations to full paintings to sketches. It was a wide range of stuff in different styles from all over, from the people participating in the war. And one of my favorite artists, John Singer Sargent, his work was a part of the exhibit because he was hired at one point to be a war photographer. A war artist. And it was other people in there who had that title of war artist. But man, as I walked through, because it was I came upon it in a fluke in one of those, because inside the Met they have a lot of small galleries on the sides of corridors and stuff. So as I was walking to the main gallery to see the sculptures, I just saw a sign World War II art, and I went in. It was whoa, this is this is pretty good.
Yeah, it's funny. You go to the Met and they have all those little corridors.
Yeah.
You never know what you're gonna find when you get in there. It's pretty cool. And it's funny you mentioned the war art. I didn't know that there were people who were sent into the conflicts to like paint and stuff.
Yeah, man.
I'm pretty familiar. I mean, mostly because I'm a photographer, but I'm familiar with like the really famous photojournalists at the time who went into like World War II to go photograph, like Eugene Smith that we've spoken about in the podcast, and Robert Capa. Ouija, I believe, may have gone. I might be wrong on that one actually, but like there's a ton of photographers who went into World War II and have made some of the most amazing photographs from like that era. But I didn't know they actually had like graphic like painters and stuff. That must be crazy. How do you even do that? That's
exactly what caught me. I was like, okay, like I'm going through the exhibit just checking out stuff, and I was like, as soon as I stepped in, I was like, okay, it just caught my eye. I was like, all right, now let me look at it, let me see these images, but then let me also learn and educate. And I was like, wow, man, you just see like some of the imagery. It was like, yo, these are people sitting here drawing and painting and sketching these images as they happen.
That's crazy.
It wasn't like somebody took a photo and then like, yo, let me do this back in New York in my studio and I'm safe. Like, no, they were there.
Right. That's crazy, like, man. Whoa, that's nuts.
That's what, like, I want to go back just to get a second glance at it, and they had like notebooks from people. They had sketchbooks from people. They had a bunch of photographers there, so they had like the little, what do you call them? Slides?
Yeah.
The slides?
The negative slides?
Yeah, there you go. Negatives.
Well, they're slides. If they're positive, if they're color and they look like, then they're slides. Yeah.
Getting too technical.
I'm just saying. Negatives are reversed. So when you look at them, you're like, what the fuck is that? And then you look at slides, they look like normal projections.
Yeah, man. It was a great exhibit. It was small. That's the only thing. It was like, it was in one of their little small rooms that they have.
Okay.
And I was like, man, this was a nice exhibit. And then they had a book. And I'm always hesitant to buy books at the galleries because it's just like they're overpriced. And I know it'll be on Amazon a week later after the exhibit for like $10 or $1.
Right.
So it's like shit. But I'm gonna tell you like this, man. I went to that exhibit, and when I exit, I was like, I want to buy the book. That's the sign of a good exhibit. Yeah. It was good. It was that good.
Yeah. It was the same thing when I went to the Irving Penn thing. You went to it too, right? At the end, they have the little shop where you can buy the cards, the postcards, or you can buy the book. I mean, I didn't buy the book there because it was crazy overpriced, but I bought the book on Amazon. I have the Irving Penn Centennial book of all his work. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. But yeah, that's the mark of a good like exhibit or show. Just like when you go to a concert. If you go to a concert and you see a band for the first time and they put on that really crazy performance, the first thing you do is usually go over to the merch table and either buy a copy of the album or you buy a t-shirt or you buy, a fucking beer cozy, whatever the fuck they're selling. And you to support something that's awesome. So it's good when you go to a museum and you see a show that's that good, that inspires you to spend the money, aside from spending the money on getting into the exhibit, spending money on the merchandise because you want to take it home with you.
Well, I'm a member.
Okay, Mr. Bougie. Put your pinky down. I see you with your bouginess.
Nah, man, but I'm not like, we're not endorsed by them or anything like that, but
we're for sure not endorsed by the Met.
But no, it's just that's one of my favorite places, man. Like when I go there, I just feel like, matter of fact, here's another story about the Met. Same day, me and my girl were there, and we're wandering around. We're like, okay, we want to see this exhibit, and this exhibit, right? This is beyond the World War I exhibit, right? This is just stuff that we knew we went there specifically to see. And it's been a while since I've really explored the Met, because normally I just do like my walk around, go to see my little favorite sculptures and paintings and such. But for some reason, we decided to go. We had to go to an area that was like way off, and I was like, we're walking. I'm telling them like, damn, I haven't been here in like years. And mind you, I go to the Met on a regular basis, but for some reason, this one section I have not been to in years.
Well, for those who haven't been to the Met, it's fucking huge.
Yeah, and I just started laughing. I was like, this is crazy. And then there's like a coffee shop on the second floor.
Yep.
That was it. And I was like, well, let's have some coffee. Let's have some fucking gelato. Let's just chill in the Met.
Yeah. It's really a place where you could go and you can spend hours of your day just hanging out and looking at different. Like, I don't know about you, but I don't really get to the Met as often as I probably should to see stuff. But when I do go, it's like after you spend like 4 or 5 hours there, you're just like drained. Yeah. Like the amount of walking. Like not too long ago, I went to the Museum of Natural History, and I was only there for like maybe 3 hours, and I was dead by the time we left. Like,
yeah, that's a nice one too.
I mean, I'm gonna be real honest. I don't really like the Museum of Natural History. I think it's
really?
Yeah. I'm not a big fan. Like,
Okay.
I don't know what it is.
Because a lot of stuff is fake.
Well, that, and then it's not like, for me, when I go to a museum, I want to learn about art. Like, I like art, and I mean, I don't know. I just like, okay, yeah, you have like elephants and whales and dinosaurs and shit. Okay, I saw that on a field trip when I was in 12th grade.
Yeah.
You know, like, whatever. I don't care. It's just one of those things. Like, I went because my girlfriend wanted to go, so we went, and it was fun. But like, if it was up to me, we would have gone to the Met, or we would have gone to the Rubin, or to the new museum, or something where there's some art, or the Whitney, to see something.
The Whitney's great. The new one, the new building is nice.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's just like a personal preference thing. Like, I'd rather go to a museum to see art than I would to see about the history of how the frog evolved. Like, that's just, you know, that's just me.
Yeah, I don't know. I like every city I've been to, every country I visit, I always make it like, no matter what, go to the art gallery.
Right.
The
there's
main
always one
art gallery in that city.
Yeah, there's always one.
Yeah.
In Texas, they have what was that one? They have the Dallas Museum of Art, and then they have something else down in Austin. They have it's a pretty big one in Austin.
Austin has a bunch.
Yeah, but there's like a really big one.
There's the one over there by the campus I always go to when I visit.
I forget.
I went to an exhibit one time down in Austin, and this was kind of cool. It was like a guy. I forgot. I don't remember his name. I'm pretty sure I wrote it down, but it was a guy who they gave him a whole room just for his sketches.
Whoa.
So it was like, but he had everything. He had like, it was basically the exhibit was about like you're inside his head. That's how it was like. That's how you looked at it. It wasn't just like random stuff. It was just like you're inside his head. You're seeing what he's seeing. But the way they displayed everything on the walls of that big area was just like interesting. I wish I could remember his fucking name. This had to be like, what? We're in 2017, so maybe 2015 I was there.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so a little quick aside. So for those who follow us on Facebook, we have a special guest today. He just texted me to give him a few minutes because he has to take a shit, but he will be on shortly. For those of you who actually know John and I personally, you will probably not be a stranger to who this person is, but he's our friend Goya. We'll leave it up to him whether or not he wants to give his first name. But he is, safe to say, probably one of the most colorful people we know.
You said colorful.
He's colorful. His language is very colorful. Of course, he's not on time because he is of the Hispanic persuasion. And I can say that because I'm Hispanic. I can get away with it. I got the card. I can do that. So he is running on Dominican time. He said he needs 3 minutes. So until he texts me that he's ready, or he Skypes in, or whatever it is that he's going to do.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about current events. Because I know when we're going to talk about current events, when he logs on, he's going to swoop in with some craziness. So I think this is going to be a good way to ease in to the crazy that Goya is going to bring to the podcast.
What do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about a few things. First, I want to talk about, obviously, Charlottesville, because that occurred right after we recorded the previous episode, so we didn't get a chance to talk on that.
Yes.
So for those who don't know, which I'm sure everybody knows, Charlottesville, North Carolina, there was a giant white supremacy rally where the KKK was there, neo-Nazis were there, very proudly waving Nazi flags. If you want to call them the alt-right, you can do that. Apparently, there's this new term for them called Proud Boys.
Nah, I ain't saying that shit.
Yeah, I don't like saying it either, but they call themselves Proud Boys, which is crazy because there's actually a poster.
That sounds like a homosexual gang from Atlanta. I'm just saying.
I'm not arguing. It sounds that's a description that I didn't expect to hear. A homosexual gay from Atlanta. What the fuck?
What? It's true.
Well, The Proud Boys. There's actually a poster going on in Brooklyn right now because apparently there are a bunch of Proud Boys in Williamsburg, Brooklyn,
Of course.
who are trying to get a white supremacy rally going, which is for sure not going to work out good if you're in New York City. But one of them,
that's why I don't go to Brooklyn no more.
the one they call
The museum.
Dear Proud Boy leader, is actually a guy by the name of Gavin McInnes. Do you know who that is?
He's an artist, right?
No, he was one of the founders of Vice, and he's what they call the grandfather of hipsters. So he's allegedly the one who started the whole white person in Williamsburg dressing like they're from like the 50s.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, he's been on Joe Rogan's podcast twice. He's a mega twat. Every time I see him on a podcast or I see his face, it's like instant punchability. Like I just want to deck him in the face. But yeah, apparently he's now a white supremacist. And you could kind of see it a little bit on the last episode of Joe Rogan that he was on. I don't remember the number. You can look it up. You're an adult. But he was just saying some shit that was just like weird. Like I don't know if he was trying to be provocative. I don't know if he was just trying to be a mega hipster. But he was just saying some shit. And I was like, that's weird. I would be... I mean, I'm not going to say that he's probably never going to be on Joe Rogan's show again, but which I'm a big fan of. But I wouldn't be surprised if Joe never has him back on because if this is true. So, so Charlottesville, giant neo-Nazi. There was a confrontation with anti-protesters that were protesting the KKK and the Nazis. It got violent. A young woman was killed. She was hit by a car. It was pretty crazy. And I know
was fucked up.
It was fucked up.
Yeah.
And I know you have a lot of opinions about racism in the United States and stuff like this. So I really wanted to...
I'm black.
For sure, you're real black. But I wanted to know what your opinions are because I always find yours are very nuanced because I remember there goes Goya calling in. I don't know if you could hear that on the microphone. Hey Goya, you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Shit.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, does it sound like shit?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't sound too bad. Doesn't sound too bad.
Fucking Smalls is like elitist, you know, or something shit. That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Hey, shut up. We're talking.
Well, Goya, you're right on time because I was just asking Smalls what his opinion was on Charlottesville.
I don't know.
Hey, he ain't ask you. He's asking me. Let me talk. All right. So, okay, before I was rudely interrupted, look, I'm going to say it like this. I believe everybody has a right to freedom of speech. Everybody, whether I agree with you or not. What I don't agree with is hate speech. I don't agree with anybody who wants to have a rally and talk about the murder, hate, violence, or death, killing of anyone. It doesn't matter, race, creed, sex, all of that shit. I'm not with hate speech. But if you want to have a rally because of what you believe in, have a rally for what you believe in. The same reason I want to be able to say what I want to say without being censored. What's going on right now in America, this is just the tip of it. You know, this shit's been bubbling for a long time, man. And if people are shocked right now, it's because they're not paying attention. They never paid attention. You know, I could speak for myself being, not just being a black man, but being a person who's lived in many different cities in the United States. I didn't just grow up in one area. You know what I'm saying? I lived in the South. I lived in the West. I lived on the East. I've been around this country. I lived in this country. And what's going on right now, it's happening because people had allowed that shit to happen for so long. Like I remember I took a trip over to Germany several times, and they're erasing their history because and they're ashamed to talk about certain things because they're ashamed of their fucking history. They're ashamed of what they did. Even if it wasn't nobody that's alive right now, but it was their ancestors and all that shit that went on during the World War II, and they did the Holocaust, the atrocities that went on. But Germany has this thing where it's like we're better than that.
Right.
America does not have that.
Yeah.
America is just like, and I love America. I believe in American dream every fucking day, that a man can just make a name for himself without going to school and all that shit. You can make it here in America. But the one thing that nobody ever acknowledges until it's too late is like, we have a fucked up history.
Yeah.
And we have to acknowledge it.
Yeah. No, I agree.
We can't keep catering to this bullshit because what happened in Charlottesville, is nothing. Like I was telling my girl, I was like, yo, these guys that you see in Charlottesville, they're pussies. They're the weak guys. They're not the guys who are really causing damage. They're not the guys who are ready to cause damage. You know what I'm saying? Like, take a look at Timothy McVeigh, and he's dead. He died. They killed him. But, you know, they executed him, I mean. But there's guys like Timothy McVeigh in America.
Right, of course.
Thousands of them. Ready to go to war for shit. Those guys were not at Charlottesville. Charlottesville was the pussies. Charlottesville was like you said, the hipster guys.
The internet tough guys?
Yeah, the internet tough guys. Those aren't the real motherfuckers. The real white supremacist guys that are really ready to set shit off have always been here in America. Behind the scenes. Not doing this bullshit, trying to be on Vice videos and then crying because they're getting the warrants.
That shit had me dying.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, that Charlottesville shit, I'm looking at that, I'm like, yo, I remember I saw a video of a guy. It was a kid. He was like, they surrounded him. They was gonna fuck him up. He's like, yo, I ain't with this. I just came out here, and they get him on camera. And he's like, why are you doing this? He's like, yo, man, I thought it was, you know, I thought
was that
it was
the one that changed his clothes? Who took his clothes off?
Yeah, he was like, I just wanted to talk shit. I thought it was fun.
That would be Goya in real life.
But what I'm saying is like, yo, that's what was going on in Charlottesville. You know what I'm saying? If people really paying attention to shit, they would know that, yo, man. As far as I know, since the 90s, I've been hearing about this shit. The RAHOA, the racial holy war and all that shit.
Yeah.
There's a book. What's the name of this book? There's a famous white supremacist book that preaches about that shit. And that's where they got the racial holy war from. It's a fucking book. God damn it, man. What is the name of this book? I got to find a name for you. But there's a book that was written, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what really, really got people agitated. That's what really got people involved into that movement there.
Oh yeah, I know the book you're talking about. The one with
the Turner
the Turner Chronicles, right?
Turner Chronicles, the Turner Diaries.
Turner Diaries. Yes,
yeah.
yes. That's basically the one that Timothy McVeigh read. Yes, that's the one.
That's the one that really sparked this movement to go forward.
Yeah. I remember the Turner Diaries. That also had to do with Ruby Ridge as well. Yeah, no, for sure. What do you think, Goya? What do you think about the whole Charlottesville situation? Okay, so we tried to have our buddy Goya on, but due to technical difficulties, we couldn't get his Skype session to record. So we're gonna have to proceed without our boy Goya. So where we left off was the Turner Diaries, white supremacy in Charlottesville. You gave your opinion on the racial holy war. That's been talked about for years.
I don't believe in it, but
I mean,
I believe that other people believe in it, which
makes it just as real, really, because if you have enough people believing in it. So, I mean, my perspective is similar, sort of, to yours. Like, I'm a big believer in the First Amendment and the freedom of speech. The courts have ruled that hate speech is covered by the First Amendment.
Yep.
And I'm okay with that, because if you're a Nazi, or you think you're a Nazi, or you're a Proud Boy, or if you're whatever you want to call yourself, if you believe the white race is the superior race, I want to know who you are. I want to see you.
But if they're superior, how come they need sunblock?
Exactly. Ain't that some bullshit? See, folks, this is why we have different perspectives. I would have never thought of that on my own.
I'm just saying.
Like, if
God made you perfect,
why you burn?
How come you burn? Burn
right.
like Usher.
That's right. So, I don't know. As the problem becomes when violence starts to happen. So you can say all the things you want, right? But the minute violence starts to creep into the protest is when it's no longer covered by the freedom of speech. And there was an article I read today. It's on Politico, and it's called "Why Even Nazis Have Free Speech," or something to that effect. If you go to Politico.com, you'll find it. And the author of the article talks about why it's important that even people that have odious opinions should be free to say them in public, and why the First Amendment applies to them. And essentially, he touches on that. That is how you combat those kinds of bad ideas. You want to know who the Nazi in the room is, so you don't turn your back to them, was one analogy that he quoted, which I think is pretty interesting. Like me personally, if you're a white supremacist, I want to know. Like, I want you to be proud that you're a white supremacist, so I can see who you are, so I cannot associate myself with you because, you know, I forget. And somebody I'm sure is gonna ream me for this, but I forget who the person is, who this quote is, but they say, I may not agree what you have to say, but I'll defend your right to say it to the death.
It's like, I don't know. I can look at it, or I do look at it in two different ways. You know, like living in the South and then living here on the East Coast, I look at racism two ways. Racism to me is like you either know who's being racist to you up front, you know, and they're just like, it's the way they are, it's the way they believe, and you find a way to make it work. And that's how most of the southern states are. You know, people don't hide shit, and you kind of pick up on it.
Yeah,
you know, but you let it be.
Mm-hmm.
But in New York, on the East Coast, you know, New York, Jersey, Boston, well, not Boston, but, you know, Connecticut, Philly, Pennsylvania, you know, it's like people will sit there and say there's no racism here, but, yo, these people are even more racist than the southern states.
Yeah.
They just hide it better.
Right.
You know, it's like, I feel like the southern states, at least you know who's who, but up here, it's just constantly hidden, and you never know who's who. Is like, and then people say something like how, oh man, I can't, you know what? I'm not even gonna go there because it's gonna end down a spiral of just negativity. You know, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was important that we talk about it since it's a pretty big event. But essentially, I
hate talking about racism. To be honest with you,
I mean, so do I, and I think I think when we talk about it like this, it only feeds into like what the mainstream media wants us to talk about.
Yeah.
But I think it's important because, I mean, how often do you see in 2017 people waving a Nazi flag, an idea that was pretty much killed in the 40s, like, and people still believe in that idea, even though they probably would not qualify like under Hitler's idea of what an Aryan race would be, right? Like,
but I will say this, that because of the current events and everything that's going on right now, they fucked up the movie Shot Caller. You know,
they did.
That movie came out at a very bad time.
Well, that movie was going to come out at a very good time, and then fucking Charlottesville happened.
If y'all don't know, go watch the fucking trailer. That shit looks fucking crazy.
That movie looks nuts. I spoke to somebody recently who saw it.
It's the white version of American Me.
Yeah, it is. Holy shit. I didn't think about that.
American Me was dope. I saw that shit as a kid. I was like, God damn.
Yeah. It looks like a really good movie. I want to check it out. But somebody who I spoke with recently said they saw it and that they said the trailer was a lot of hype and that the actual movie kind of wasn't as intense as the
trailer. Why'd you gotta tell me that shit?
I figure, I'm still gonna go see it because I want to. It looks like a good movie.
In it.
Yeah, the guy who plays Jaime Lannister from Game of Thrones is the main character.
Yeah.
Even though I don't.
I just want to see a story of
Game
like
of
a guy who's like white collar guy gets locked up. Next thing you know, he's like fully tatted.
White supremacist
running shit. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting story that, you know, it shows that somebody who's not, you know, who's, I guess what you'd call a soft individual goes into a very hard environment and has to adapt in order to survive. It's kind of like a story of survival.
Well, I mean, it's like they say, it's like if you don't fit in and you don't adapt, what are you gonna do? Become somebody's bitch?
You don't have a lot of options, right?
Yeah, it's like
I mean,
one or the other.
It's kind of a weird thing because even in the trailer, they talk about, one of the characters says, you know, once you become institutionalized, you know, you go down a road that you can't come back from.
Yeah.
And it's kind of true. You know, you see people who go into prison one way and come out a totally changed, like almost a completely different individual.
Mm-hmm.
It's nuts what the American penal system's like. You know, like it's segregated.
Yeah.
It's a rough environment, or at least from what I can tell, from what I've seen. I've never been to prison myself.
Nah, man, I never did a bid, never been locked up or anything like that.
Scary, man.
And I'm glad I'm not bragging about that shit, saying like, oh, I never fuck that. I'm happy that shit.
Mm-hmm. Let's move on to
another
topic.
Change the subject, please.
The eclipse. How disappointed are you that there were no aliens? On a scale from 1 to Independence Day.
I'll put it like this, man. I'm disappointed every day that you send me a link to some shit in GChat.
Come on, man.
Absolutely nothing to do with aliens.
Come on.
Every now and then you see some cool art stuff, and I get that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I mean, that's what it's all about, right?
But I'm like, Gomez, come on,
Come on.
step your game up.
You're trying to use me only for aliens?
No, but when it's like late in the day, I'm like, oh, he's sending me a link. I'm gonna click on this shit. I'm like, oh.
I'm gonna just start sending you e-fuck links disguised as like G-chat links.
I've seen them all.
I've seen them. Did you? You know what I recently saw? I recently saw the Caught 2017 compilation. Have you seen that one?
The
Caught, like people doing like public nudity or whatever in public.
Nah.
That shit had me rolling.
They're not as funny.
Oh no, this is funny. There was a couple just banging in like a public park, like it looked like Prospect Park or some shit.
Yeah.
And then people were watching like, what is going on? And then all of a sudden a big ass police car pulls up next to them and like whoop whoop. And you see the guy like get scared, you see his like butt cheeks clench. It's hilarious. Then there was one. I think they may have been crackheads. I'm not sure where they were, but they were also banging in public like, on a grassy lawn, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, what's going on?" And then all of a sudden, you see this dude walk up behind them with a bike. The dude picks the bike up by the front steering handles and hits the dude fucking in the back of the head with the bike. The dude gets knocked unconscious while he's still inside the chick. He got hit behind the head with a bike, like full on bike, back of the head. Middle of the fuck, like he was mid thrust, just unconscious inside the chick. I think he may have killed that person. I think he may have killed whoever it was that was getting dirty. John's really entertained by this cat right now. This cat's really being super friendly. So yeah, Eclipse. Did you stare at the sun with your bare eyes
No,
like President Trump?
Nope.
I went outside.
Did not care.
We had a welding mask, so I took the welding mask and I looked through the little shield,
Okay.
and I could see it. It was pretty fucking cool. I mean, in New York, we only got like 77% coverage, so we didn't get to see the full like whole thing. But
I'm more concerned about Yellowstone National Park.
you hear they want to start drilling in that bitch?
That shit's about to erupt.
Yeah, we're gonna die. If it's not Yellowstone, it's North Korea. If it's not North Korea, it's white supremacists.
But see, the thing about Yellowstone the thing about Yellowstone that's very interesting. Again, this is another one of those things they've been talking about for years, but nobody ever pays attention.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's gonna erupt at some point. It's going to erupt, right? And again, this is one of those things that they put on those shows, but the people don't. They never pay attention to the shows. Scientists come out with these documentaries. They never pay attention to it. If Yellowstone National Park erupts, 75% of the United States will be covered.
Yep.
And like ash, smoke, dust, all that shit covered.
California is
That's
gone.
how large. That's how large it is.
Yeah, it's huge.
It will be like 75% will be.
It's
gone.
a world-changing event.
Yeah.
That would be crazy. I mean, at least we know we'll probably be okay because we're on the East Coast. We're like right by the water, so we'll but just the pandemonium that would cause, we'd probably get like destroyed.
Like I tell you, man, it's like I like out of the two of us, I'm always into aliens and Hollow Earth and all this other shit. But the one thing that really shocks me, like just has me, that really puts the paranoia in me is like natural disasters.
Yeah, it's one of those scary things
like
because like
weather, and shit, man.
Because
like
you can't control that, and you know
shit.
what happens.
I had a dream last night. It was just some random shit, but I remember I was here definitely here in New York, right? Because the buildings was like somewhere on the East Coast, and I remember something happened. Like normally I have like these apocalyptic dreams, but something happened where I was on a run, or people were on a run for some shit. Like not like on a run from the police, but like on a run for safety, right? But I remember where I looked out the window, and I had to be like on the 5th or 6th floor of some building, and the whole view that I saw was just water.
That's terrifying.
Like a great flood.
That's so scary.
I'm dead serious, man. It was like I'm looking out the window. Like let's say I'm in Harlem, right? I'm on the 6th floor in the building of Harlem. I'm looking out the window, and I see like the entire Manhattan, all the way clear as day across the Hudson to Jersey, and everything was covered in water.
That's terrifying.
Like it was a flood, and it was a flood to the point where it was just like the shit was just rising and rising and rising and rising, and it was like, this isn't stopping. This isn't slowing down. This is like a flood of all floods. And I was like, damn. And I remember while I'm still sleeping, because you barely remember your dreams, but I remember these little details where it was like, well, how could a flood like this happen? Like naturally, right? Not like whatever science fiction shit, but how could a flood like this actually happen? It's like something where the polar ice caps would just melt completely, fucking
Just turn to water.
just turn to water, and the whole planet just flooded. And I was like, damn, I don't know, I don't remember everything about the dream, but I remember that. And I remember clear as day looking out the window and thinking like, damn, I should have a raft, because I got like all this emergency stuff in my go bag and all that. But I was like, I should have a raft. But I was like, even if I have a raft and I'm floating, fuck, it's like sharks and whales and all this shit in the water now. So it's like, what's a raft going to do?
I feel like you'd be surprised at how useful a
I
raft
was
is.
like, I just remember just looking out the window and just seeing like, I'm like on the 5th, 6th floor and just water like coming in the window that I'm looking out of. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is happening. Like, this is happening. Like, the streets are flooded.
That's crazy.
Done.
Yeah.
It's like,
That's a scary ass dream.
yeah, man.
Fuck that.
I normally have like dreams where I'm like, I'm running away from people, running away from like mobs, running away, like not that zombie shit, because I don't believe in that shit. But I'm always having dreams when I'm like running for safety or something.
Yeah.
Something. And it always shocks me because I'm like, normally when I have those dreams, I always got to save somebody. I always got to go back and like
Get someone.
get someone or help someone.
Yeah.
Like they fell or they get caught, and I'm like, okay, I got to help you.
Leave them
You know?
down.
But for this dream, it was like there was no, like, I think my girl was there, but it was just me in a room, like an apartment room, you know, and just looking out the window and just like, oh shit, it's happening. It's like that was it. It was like flood.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
I don't know what to make of it.
That's fucking. I always have the same dream. Like I don't remember.
You in a strip club and you ran out of money?
No, that's a reality. No, there's always a dream I have, and I don't know if anybody's listening who's like, I don't know, who interprets dreams, but it's always the same kind of dream. It's always like, I'm in a house, and everywhere I look, there's decapitated heads on spikes. I've been having this dream since I was in high school.
I think you got issues.
I think this dream has something to do with anxiety.
Okay.
I think, but it happens all the time. It's like an old ass dusty house. You ever watch Beetleborgs? Beetleborgs, the show that was like the Power Rangers, except it was like Beatles, and it had to do with comics.
No.
Well, I remember this from my youth. But they were in a house, and the house was haunted by this ghost named Glubber or Flubber, I think maybe.
Okay.
And it was an old, dusty, creepy house. And I remember the show because the show revolved around Beetleborgs being a comic, and you'd always see the artist drawing the comic.
Okay.
Anyways, that house was always in my dreams, and I would walk into this house, and I would be old, it would be dirty, and I'd be around looking, exploring the house. Yeah. And I remember I'd look, and I'd hear a noise, and I'd turn around, and it'd be all these decapitated heads on spikes. I have this dream at least once a week, and it freaks me the fuck out.
Shit.
I wake up like breathing heavy. But yeah, I don't remember having any other dreams aside from that dream. Like that's the dream I always have. I don't know if it's because I think about it before I go to bed, and I'm like, I wonder if I'm gonna have this fucking dream again, and then I inception myself into having that dream. But it's some weird ass shit.
I just saw a big ass fly on my wall.
Yeah, there's a big ass fly.
Making sure it's not a roach.
Oh Jesus Christ, that's a big one.
Yeah, as long as it's not a roach.
No, that's a big ass fly. That's a shit fly.
New York roaches, they're crazy.
Yeah, those roaches will mug you if you're not careful. They come out of nowhere too. Like I can't tell you how many times, like being growing up in New York City, how many times you go jump in the shower and there's a big ass water bug in the shower and you're butt ass naked. It's fucking terrifying. There's not many scary things that are like getting into a shower butt naked and you think a big ass roach.
Like what the fuck?
The first thing you do is grab your dick and like, get away from me! You have to try not to slip in the bathtub because they come out of the fucking drain because it's scary. It's fucking terrifying.
It's funny. It's like no other pets bothers me but mice, rats, and roaches. I'm like, everything else I'm just like, you ain't shit.
You know what? Roaches bother me more than mice and then rats, because at least with a mouse and a rat, there has to be a certain space for them to get through. Yeah. With roaches, you don't know where they're coming up from. Like they come out of nowhere. Like they could be a little crack in your ceiling, like where your heat pipe is, like the steam pipe. There could be a little crack, and you can see a roach come out in there, and you're like, fuck. Like it's just one of those things.
How am I supposed to stop that?
You can't. You can't. It's like and in New York City, no matter how clean you are, you're always gonna have roaches. No matter how anal you are, if your building's in New York City, you have roaches. You may not see them very often. That's a fucking big ass fly, man. That thing flew right by your head. Thing is fucking huge. Look at that thing. It's about half an inch long. For those of you to a little bit of description. Both Smalls and I are staring at his wall with this big ass fly. It looks like Mothra is in this bitch. It flew over there by the steam pipe.
Oh, I gotta take a picture of it.
It's fucking huge. It's enormous. So what else, man? What else is going on? What else is new?
Shit. You know what, man? Seriously, I think we are living in some of the craziest fucking times.
Oh, for sure.
You know, it's like we went from, and I don't know what it is, but maybe it's just the news releasing shit. Maybe it's just science is just not giving a fuck anymore. But okay, for y'all who don't know, Gomez and I, we send articles back and forth all day. That's like how we communicate a lot of shit.
Essentially.
Be like, yo, check this out. But man, sometimes I'm seeing articles and I'm like, okay, well, this is fucking crazy. Like somebody will post some bullshit. I'm like, okay, well, this is crazy. But then I'm like, is this shit real? Because it'll be like something so far-fetched, but then it's like, it's backed by like sources, and I'm like, this can't be real. This cannot be real that they're doing this shit. And that's how I feel like almost on a day-to-day basis now. Before it was like, oh, weekly thing or a monthly thing, then a weekly thing. Now it's like, damn, every time I check these alternative news sources, it just seems more far-fetched.
Yeah, it's nuts.
I'm like, we are living in... I mean, it's great. I feel it's great that this stuff is happening. I feel it's great that space is becoming privatized. I feel it's great that people are inventing things. I think it's great that transhumanism went from something that was in like science fiction and video games to like real life shit. You know, like like you can now transplant a human head. Yeah. Right? Humans, there's a thing where humans can breathe underwater without oxygen tanks. There's teleportation. There's drones with fucking guns and all this shit. There's man-made what I would call them UFOs, but you know, man-made fucking life-size flying drone things. You know, it's like
Predator drones.
Yeah, it's like no. There's you ain't see the video? I sent the
the saucers.
Yeah.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Shit like a fucking UFO out the 50s.
Yeah.
Straight up. I was like, this shit looks straight out the 50s. But, you know, the fact that these things are becoming more and more rampant, I mean, I love it because I'm all about technology and I'm all about, you know, science fiction shit. And, you know, if you can imagine it, you can make it. You just got to figure it out. Right. I love that. But I just feel like it seems almost every day now is just getting more and more far-fetched to the point where it's just like, what the fuck is really going on, man?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do too with just the fact that we live in an information age where it's so easy to pass information back and forth.
No, but see, that's the thing. A lot of stuff was invented a long time ago, by scientists, engineers, and all types of people. But a lot of it was either they were paid off, their inventions were bought, you know, their patents were bought, seized. You know, some people died. You know, like, yeah.
Some people got suicided.
Double shot to the head, that type shit, you know. But there's been inventions all throughout history. But now, for some reason, these inventions seem to be legal. Like, take the thing with the drones, right? The flying drones now aren't with weapons. There was a kid, I think it was like 2 years ago, I saw the video. A kid took a drone. He was like literally like a teenager. He had a drone and he put a gun on it.
Oh yeah,
right?
I've seen that.
It was like bah, bah, and he couldn't control the shooting. After that video was posted, the feds raided his house.
Yep.
But now, a couple years later, I just saw a video of a drone with a fucking semi-automatic weapon. It's like, is this Skynet? Is this the movies that predicted the fall of man?
Isn't that crazy that he did like a DIY thing with a handgun and the feds raided his house? That's crazy. I mean, the whole drone thing is interesting. I like drones. I think they're cool, but it produces a lot of questions about privacy, accessibility to certain places.
Yeah, somebody can have a drone and it can literally fly over your house and spy on everything that you're doing, and that's legal because you don't own the air above your
house. You only own the property itself. You don't own the airspace.
So I gotta get a drone gun. Shoot that shit down.
Yeah, I mean, there's people who, if they see a drone by their property, they'll shoot it down with a shotgun.
Yeah.
But
no, they have drone guns now.
Oh yeah, that with the net.
The big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and even companies like the biggest drone manufacturer, DJI, which is based out of China. You know, they have software in their drones now that if you don't upgrade the firmware when there's new firmware releases, they'll disable your drone. Like if you don't update in a certain amount of time, your drone will not fly because it has updated patterns for where you're allowed to fly the drone. Okay. So this company is getting... You know,
it is regulated.
Yeah, no, it's regulated. So if you get a drone now, you have to register with the FAA, which is the same government body that regulates all air traffic. You have to register your drone. It's like a $25 registry fee, I think, to register your drone. But in the drone itself, it has, since it uses GPS, it knows that they can only fly up to a certain height. So you can't fly into the same airspace that commercial flights are flying. You can't fly it over airports. You can't fly it close to government installations. Like it knows. It has hotspots.
Yeah, you can't go to Area 51,
right.
Groom Lake.
It knows.
Groom Lake.
Well, whatever. You Groom, tomato. It knows, like, once you get these coordinates, it will not go further. It'll return back to you. And if you fuck around a lot, it'll just turn off and just land. And then you'll fucking lose your drone. But the government, of course, can just shoot it down if they want. Because they're the government and they do whatever they want.
Yeah, people always say, like, if you get too close to Area 51, all your cell phones and batteries, everything will just stop working.
Probably.
The EMP will just like everything just shuts off.
You know, I don't even doubt it.
You know?
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if we walked, like if we left right now and went to Area 51 and we're just walking through the grass, fucking just shot in the head.
I don't think nothing's there though.
I do.
I don't know. I think something was there.
You think now it's just too hype?
Now it's too much hype. Now it's just like a cover story. I think everything.
Like it's a tourist attraction?
Yeah, I mean, it's like. It's funny, when I was living in Vegas, that's when I found out about Area 51. And I remember my mom's boyfriend at the time. He was like, dude, he's like, you drive out there, you can sit on the highway. Because like back then, there was spots where you can actually see the base. And he was like, you'll drive out there, and he was like, you'll just see lights in the sky. You don't know what the fuck they are, but they're lights, and they're definitely doing shit. And back in the day, yeah, I believe like in the 90s, maybe early 2000s, there was still stuff going on. But right now, no, it's just a cover story.
Right. I mean, yeah.
If anything, I think there's more truth to the deep underground military bases. I think those really exist, like Cheyenne Mountain.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think the military has. You ever seen what was it? Was it Terminator 3? Yeah, Terminator 3. The one with
the future one.
Yeah, the one with the female Terminator that can like morph.
Oh yeah.
And remember at the end they were in the bunker in the mountain.
Yes.
I think they have stuff like that.
That's Cheyenne Mountain.
Yeah, that's Cheyenne Mountain. Like,
Cheyenne Mountain is the most popular one in Virginia, I believe.
Right. That one was in Vegas, I believe, in NORAD, like by NORAD.
Well, speaking of Vegas, you know, I remember when because I lived in Vegas for maybe 5-6 years, right? So you hear a lot of shit. There's a lot of shit in the paper, the Las Vegas Review Journal. And but I remember one of these stories, and this is true. This is not something that's made up, but Yucca Mountain. Do you know about Yucca Mountain? Yucca Mountain is a nuclear waste site.
Oh, is that the place
inside?
Of a mountain.
Mountain.
Yeah, I do know about this place. Yeah,
it's like matter of fact, they featured it in the Godzilla remake.
Yep, and then Joe Rogan spoke about it on his podcast too. Yeah, they mentioned it.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
but I always remember Yucca Mountain when I was a kid because I remember our teacher brought it up. And she was like, there's dangers to just storing this nuclear waste because they dug into the mountain. You know, it's a solid mountain, obviously, but they dug into it. And that's just where they just dump all this shit. But at the same time, she was telling us, she was like, yeah, but at the same time, that it's like they're storing all this nuclear waste, but it's being stored into the earth. So they don't know the long-term effects that it's going to have on a planet.
Yeah.
But it's like, the shit is just there. But I believe like a lot of places like that exist, man. It's like, you know me, I'm always talking about the hollow earth, and I'm like, the hollow earth theory is just empty pockets within the planet where life can still exist, which has been proven, right? It's not like flat earth where the shit's been debunked, but hollow earth, it's actually been proven. It's like this shit could exist, right? Like in Vietnam, there's a gigantic rainforest inside a cave. in Mexico, there's a gigantic crystallized cavern underground. It's like there's a lot of shit that goes on. But I believe, like, yeah, why not? Why, if you have a military base and you want to protect your secrets, where would you put it? In a public where it could be bombed? Or would you do like Cheyenne Mountain and put that shit in a mountain? Like the internet,
guarded mountain.
the internet itself, the internet that everybody uses freely was used in case the government failed.
Yep.
Right? In case of war and we just had to shut down and shit just lost. The internet was made so they can communicate with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine if they made the internet back then. What the hell are they doing right now to ensure that the government still continues to go on?
Right.
You know, I remember it was about around the millennium, bunkers were a big thing, right? And I saw this doc. Yeah,
they're coming back. They're making a resurgence because of Trump.
Yeah. Especially in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Hawaii right now, Zuckerberg, all these guys, they're buying up land in Hawaii and building bunkers.
Yep.
Because people are thinking like, oh, it's going to be another World War III. But I remember I saw a documentary. And again, like when I watch documentaries, I can't fact check everybody on a documentary. But there was a documentary when a guy was talking about his construction company is one of those main companies responsible for building these homes, these bunkers for people. And he was like, yeah, he's like, we have them. We have facilities all over the place. I'm not saying they're big military bases, but he was like, yeah, we build these facilities for the wealthy, for the elites, because they have the money for the shit.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, these places, you'd be surprised. He was like, there's malls, there's shopping centers. Yeah, he's like, but it's like everything to continue life, right?
Yeah.
But I'm like, damn, how does somebody get a job like that shit to be like, okay, your job is going to work at Starbucks in this bunker for these rich motherfuckers.
How cool.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
yeah. No, it's a weird thing.
Like when he was explaining it, I was like, well, if you're saying that you're building all this stuff, right? Because he was I gotta find it. But he was a straight up guy. He was like, yeah, I can't tell you who it is or where it's at, but my company builds these things. It's like, this is what we do.
How weird would it be?
I was like, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
it's weird. How weird would it be though, like if you are like exploring someplace and you find this fucking weird hatch. You go down this hatch and all of a sudden you're in like a weird underground mall, like an empty mall. It looks like a mall from today, right? It's got like 2 levels and there's like a Banana Republic, a Starbucks, a fucking Sbarro's pizza, and it's empty. And it's just like a weird thing, you know, like what would you do? Like, how would you, it's so surreal to think about that. Like there's an underground world of bunkers, of fucking malls, according to this guy. And he's like, yeah, we built the fucking underground mall in case shit goes down. Rich people can still shop. Like, first off, what the fuck are you buying?
Yeah.
How much stock do you have? Right? Like, do you have enough to last for the entire half-life of whatever bomb explodes? It's fucking weird. That's weird to me. Like that, I find stuff like that hard to believe because there's so many other questions. Like, okay, you have a Starbucks and it's a fully staffed Starbucks. Where does that staff live? Do they live in a Starbucks in the bunker? Who pays for their bunker? Do you pay for the bunker? How many beans do you have? How many lattes can you make before you run out of fucking beans? I have questions. Where are these goddamn answers?
That's what, like when he was saying it, I was just like,
it's weird. It's fishy.
Who's
gonna
work this shit?
Right?
Because he was like,
that's a weird question.
It's set up so everything that you enjoy in life can continue going on. I'm just like, well, how are you hiring these people? But then he was saying, he was like, we have these stores and it's like, you know, bomb proof, all this shit, this, that, and the other. And he was like, yeah, once the door is shut, he's like, you ain't getting in. I was like, damn. Yeah,
I mean, there have been movies that have been made about that in video games, like Fallout. Like I was telling you last time, that's just like that. Fallout 3, it was the last one I played way back when on the PC. Was like that. When the game started, you were in an giant underground bunker with a bunch of people, and there was a fallout. There was a giant atomic explosion that destroyed the United States.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, the story took place in the bombs went off in the 50s during the Cold War. So you came out much farther in the future, but when you came out, everything around was still in the 50s. So like all the buildings were 50s, all the cars were 50s era.
Yeah.
All of it was 50s, but like on the inside, people were still dressed like the 50s. Like it was like frozen in time, but there was a whole community of people who lived in this giant bunker underground. And, you know, when they closed the doors because of the explosions, they didn't open them up till like 30 years later when it was somewhat safe to go outside if you were in a suit. So like thinking about that, like where, like Do you think they have a thing like that in New York or like in Jersey, where like there's just a hatch where rich people run into, and it's just like a 4 or 5 story underground complex of just weird,
I would say yes.
empty stores?
I would say yes, and I would say yes because of logic. If let's just say for example, you come from a family that has like old money, millions, billions, or whatever dollars,
Like
right?
Rockefeller money?
Not that much, just old money, right? A lot of money, and your family, you'll never have to worry for anything, right? You can't like I don't see how someone who has that much money wouldn't think about something like this just in case. Like, you know what? Just in case shit hits the fan, all of us are gonna go here.
Yeah, it's
Like,
true.
I read that book, Emergency by Neil Strauss, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was a good book. That's the book that really opened me up to all this shit. And if anybody out there, if y'all listening to this and y'all want to know, like, why is John the way he is, read Emergency by Neil Strauss. It is a great book. He talks about so much shit. And he put me onto the class called CERT, which is Community Emergency Response Team. And it's a great course that they teach for free in all major cities in the United States. But anyways, in Neil Strauss's book Emergency, he talks about in the chance of an emergency, like a life-threatening emergency, whether it's a terrorist attack or natural disaster, how will you survive?
Right.
And that's a serious question I think everybody needs to ask themselves. It's like, this is not conspiracy. This is not being paranoid. This is like real shit.
He went and met with like famous people, right?
He met with all types of people. And one of the conversations he has that he mentioned, that he puts in a book that really set him straight, he was like, when he was talking to rich people, like very wealthy people, he was like, yo, they treat everything like a fucking business. From the woman that they marry, they interview. And he was like, one guy was like interviewing chicks because he was like, you're not compatible for me. He was like, yo, they have to be a certain he
Right.
goes into a lot of
Right.
stuff. But he was saying how the rich people, they have resources, like they have private jets, private boats, pilot licenses, all this shit to get out of America. And he was saying, from his point of view, he was like, I'm just a writer. You know, what can I do? So this guy, in the beginning of the book, he wasn't shit. He wasn't tough. He was a scrawny dude, rocker guy. At the end of the book, he knew how to hunt. He knew how to kill. He knew how to camp. He knew how to shoot. He knew how to boat, how to
Sail.
He knew how to, I think it was a helicopter, I believe, that he knew how to fly. And he had a dual passport and a small island in, I think in like the Bahamas area.
Oh, citizenship.
Yeah, man. And
That's crazy.
in order to get the citizenship, he had to stay on the island for like, I think it was like 90 days to a year or some shit. And it was like some civil unrest broke out on the island. It was a blackout. He was like, he had to buy like some shitty, like he talks about the whole, it's such a great book. And he, in the back of the book, he shows all his shit all the little certificates and the licenses that he achieved while writing his book.
That's intense.
It is intense. And I'm telling you, that book, when I read that, once I finished that book, I was like, fuck, I don't know shit about survival. This guy, he talks about it, man. He's like, yo, man, think about it. If your grocery store runs out of food, what are you gonna do?
Exactly.
Real shit.
And that's like the most basic of things.
You know. And he was like, I think that's how he opens up the book. He's like, we lost our hunting gatherer type of thing. And he talks about some, like, he gets a goat, right? And he keeps a goat just in case of emergencies. He can either have like goat's milk or he can kill the goat. But then, like, his girlfriend talks him out of killing a goat, so he just has his goat as his pet.
Does he kill the girlfriend and eat the girlfriend?
No.
Oh.
But then there's another scene. There's another story in the book. Like, he takes his survival course, right? And a part of the survival course, they tell him how to do like guerrilla warfare shit, how to do like blend into crowds, like all this stuff. But then he says, like, the teacher of the course was like, I want you to stay in your apartment, or stay, in his case, his house. He's like, I want you to stay in your house for 1 week, 7 days, without the use of any modern appliances or technology or nothing. So of course he has a pool, so he uses all the water from his pool to drink, to purify water, to go to the bathroom, like, cause we need, like, they say 3 gallons a day per person or some shit. So that's how he uses water. Then he still didn't kill the goat, but he used the goat for like milk. And him and his girl, they just bunkering down in their home for a week. And he was like, you can't use anything modern, and that's a shocker. But if you think about it, can you do that shit?
Does a toilet count?
No, you can't flush because
That's
there's no
r-
running
there's no
water. That's why
that's-
that's why he was using the water from the pool. But luckily he had a pool. So he was like, it went over 7 days and the guy still didn't show up. So they like, what do we do? What do we do? Because it was just a test. It wasn't like real.
Right.
But they wanted to stick to it. They really wanted to try it out. And then he said the guy finally came up with like, I think it was like a couple of days. I don't want to say 14 days, maybe like 11 days later. The guy comes and he's like, oh yeah, you know, he was like all nonchalant about it. It's like, it's not a big deal. But he really took that shit to heart. He was like, I want to be able to survive if the system would fall.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people would be shocked with what they can't do if modern infrastructure fails.
You know, this is something we talk about a lot on this fucking podcast.
Yeah,
I feel it comes up a lot.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I think it's just one of those things that we think about a lot.
Yeah,
because we're always talking about stuff like that, right?
But it deals with, but when you know what, when thing happened down in Charlottesville, right? When it happened down in Charlottesville, that was my first thing in my mind. I was like, what's in my go bag?
Right, because they declare a state of emergency in Charlottesville.
I was like, yo, if shit pops off right now, if there's an attack, if there's something, if I gotta get the fuck up out of my place, what's in my go bag right now? Do I have my documents? Do I have some cash? Do I have emergency supplies? Like, seriously, I went through my shit. I was like, and I put on my bag. I was like, damn, can I carry this? Is this good? Do I need this, or just is this some extra shit? Like, what do I need if I gotta get the fuck out right now?
Right.
Because when I saw that going down, I was like, it's a strong possibility something's gonna go wrong. Luckily, nothing happened.
Right, but there was
a chance, and I was like, you got to be ready, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think the basics are pretty simple, right? Like, I would imagine like a Ziploc bag full of like bars, like Cliff Bars, a first aid kit, some cash, a weapon if you got it.
Always fire,
and
water.
Yeah, water bottle, some underwear, a t-shirt, and just go.
Remember Gomez in his underwear.
Always have an extra pair of underwear. If you shit yourself, you'll thank me. You never want to be caught without underwear.
No, but you know, I know this is something that I bring up a lot, but when I see these events going on in the world, that's what I think about, my survival. You know, I don't think about like, oh, these are fucked up events. I'm like, yo, man, these are fucked up events, but if shit pops off right now, what are you going to do?
Right. Well, I don't think a lot of people think about it like the way we do.
I think about my survival.
Or maybe a lot of people do, but not a lot of like average people on a daily basis think about, like, I don't know. I see things happen daily and I'm like, how would I react to that? Like every day something happens and I'm like, how would I handle that? Right. And I don't do it because I'm paranoid, but I do it because I believe in kind of like building a database of like scenarios and knowing how I would handle myself if something were to go wrong. Right.
Yeah.
Like what would I do if I was in Charlottesville? Like if I was just a dude, like let's say I didn't know there was a protest going on and we just went to go get coffee and we were like talking about art because we're fucking dicks.
Yeah.
And some shit happened and I don't know, a brick came through the window. How would we react to that? Right? Would we like freeze and be like, oh my God, what happened?
Yeah.
Or would we like be the first ones out that bitch and looking for a way to get out, you know, get back to wherever
be
it
on
is.
the go.
Right. Like I'm trying to build like a mental database of like, recognizing certain things and then reacting to it. Like I, on a daily basis, am working on situational awareness. Like when I get onto the subway, I always look to see who's on before I get on the train. Like when the train's pulling into the station, as it slows down before it stops, you can see who's in the car with you.
Yeah.
And I always look around, mostly because I don't want to be in the car with the homeless person. But I always look around to see who's in the car, who's sitting down. Is there somebody in there performing? Is there somebody in there asking for money? Does somebody in there look disturbed? Are they mentally ill? Or do they range? You know,
check your environment.
Right. You always want to know, like when I go into a place that I've never been to before, the first thing I look for is an exit.
Definitely.
People say I'm paranoid. But if something were to happen, you want to know how you can get out, right?
Yep.
Because if there's only one way in and one way out, maybe you want to hang out by the door.
Yep.
Right? Not saying that something's going to happen, but you want to know, you know, okay, that guy looks kind of sketchy and he's hanging out over there. I'm not going to turn my back to him in case something happens. You know, like it's just these things that you have, these internal bells that go off in your head that you sometimes listen to, but sometimes you've also been trained by society not to pay attention to.
Yeah.
There's actually a really great podcast for those who are listening who maybe don't listen to as many podcasts as I do, but there's a podcast by Sam Harris, and he's a very well-known speaker and podcaster that talks about philosophy and science and social issues. But he had a guest recently on his podcast, and the guy's name, the name of the podcast is Waking Up with Sam Harris, and it's episode number 90, and it's called Living with Violence. And he has a guest named Gavin DeBecker, and he runs a security company, and he talks about all these instinctual things that we've developed as humans, as we've evolved to notice among other people, that give us warning signs. And I think that a lot of people don't listen to their internal type of warning system, whether it's because they've been reconditioned by society, that guy looks sketchy, but I shouldn't judge him because of whatever. But, it's true. People give off certain vibes, and it's your internal warning system that tells you, that person's sketchy. I get a bad vibe. When you hear somebody say, I have a bad vibe, it's for a reason. It's because something doesn't seem right. Or if you go into if you go someplace and you realize that, something just feels off, it's important to really recognize that and follow through with that weird feeling, because really it's your internal system, what you've evolved to avoid predators, that tells you, something's not right, be careful, pay attention. And that's what I think I work on a lot with my situational awareness. Like, I always, I look over my shoulder all the time whenever I'm walking. Even if it's the middle of the day, I can be in Midtown. I'm always looking over my shoulders. I want to know who's behind me.
Don't be on your fucking headphones all day.
When I turn a corner, I'm not in the corner when I turn. I'm a couple feet away, so if I turn the corner, I see who's coming at me. It's one of those. It's just like, it seems
if somebody asks for time, don't look at your watch.
That is the most class. You know how many times people get jumped when I was a kid? That's what they would ask you. They would ask you, "Yo, do you know what time it is?" And then when you look down, they hit you. It's right. You go, "I don't know." Even if you got a watch on your wrist, you'd be like, I don't know. It don't work. No batteries.
Like, when somebody even asks me for train directions, I'm like, okay. I'll be like, oh, I'll help him out, but I'm like this the whole time. It's like, looking at him, one hand free. I'm like, just in case you do something, I'm gonna pop you.
Right? No,
it's true.
It's true. It's like
don't be a victim.
Some people would say that's like being paranoid, but it's really not. I don't know. Let us know what you think. Shoot us an email. Tell us if you are the same way. Do you constantly look around, or do you feel completely safe when you're wherever you're at?
You know what? Speaking of that, because that's something I want to do more of. Yeah, it's like, we post stuff. We repost other people's memes and we post images, but I want to actually build a dialogue with the people who listen to the podcast with some of the things that we talk about, rather than just, Chico and I just going at it. I want to hear what you are doing. Like, if any of y'all are preppers, I hate that term, but if anybody out there is actually agreeing with this, let us know. Tell us what you're doing to prepare to take care of you and your family. God forbid there be another superstorm that comes in here and just decimates an area. But, there's people who live in Tornado Alley in the United States, and they get hit on a regular basis. There's hurricanes that always come down and just demolish areas. I think everybody should be prepared to some extent. Of course, we can't prepare for everything. Of course not. But there's a way where you can see something coming and just do the best to survive for you and your family. It's like, damn, we always get on the subject of doomsday and destruction and shit. But I think it's just the world that we live in right now. Whether it's technology, whether it's human error, whether it's war, it's always something going on that makes you think about, or at least it makes me think about my life and how I want to live for as long as I can live. I don't want to suffer, but at the same time, I don't want to just go out on some bullshit.
Yep. Has there ever been a situation where you are either surrounded by a group of people, or you've been in a party, or just in a place where you walked in and immediately you were like, something's not right here?
Oh yeah, a lot of times.
You can look at people and you can see that they've got something going on, right?
Yeah.
It's a look in their eye, or the way they're postured. You're like, something's about to go down here.
There's it hasn't happened in the past 10 years that much, but it used to happen a lot. Especially like when I was a reckless teenager and youth and all that. But I would always get this this chill through my body. Like it could be hot as fuck outside, but I'll get like this shiver, like some shit like that, right? And every time it happened, man, I ain't gonna lie. Every single time I would get that chill, something very bad would happen. To the point where it was like somebody would get stabbed, shot, locked up, a group of people get locked up, a violent fight, shootout, something horrific would happen. I mean, like really bad shit would happen. And then it got to the point where I kept getting the little shiver thing where it was like, all right, that's my warning sign. Like if I got it, it'd be like, watch every fucking thing that you do. Watch the drinks that I have. Watch the people that I'm talking to. Like I would be, like as I say, I'll be on my P's and Q's. Like I would be so laser focused. I'm like, ain't shit happening to me tonight. Yeah. Shit is not going down tonight because I would, and I don't know how it would just happen. I would just get this feeling like this, like, what the fuck? I'm like, all right, well, every time I get that feeling, something bad. So it's like, I'm alert, just very alert. And now it's like, I think it happened maybe once in the past 5 years. And the last time it happened, same thing. I was just like, pay attention. Just very focused on your surroundings, the people you're with, who I'm talking to. Just focus. Yeah. Like don't get happy. Don't get tipsy and shit. Yeah. Don't let my guard down. Just be calm, but be alert because something might pop off right now. Yeah. And that's how I learned to deal with it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you just gotta be alert. I see people all the time. Especially on the train, because I think if there's another type of terrorist attack, I think it's in New York City. I think it's gonna be on the subway. Yeah. To be honest, but I see people on the subway for sure not paying attention. Just they get on, and whatever. It's easy to fall into that rhythm because it's such a monotonous thing. Yeah. You do it every day. You get on the train, you go to work, you come home, whatever. You go to the spa, whatever, and it becomes a thing. But it's so dangerous, especially people when they stand like super close to the train, the track. The people getting killed, right? People jumping on tracks, people getting pushed on the tracks. It's crazy. Yeah, like people just aren't paying attention. And the subway is, I don't know how it is in other countries or other states, but in New York City, when you go to the subway, where the train pulls in on the tracks and where you're standing, there's no guardrail, there's no block. You can easily slip and fall into the thing if you're not paying attention, or be pushed if you're not paying attention for standing too close. Don't get caught looking at the rats. Right. People do all the time. Like people are sticking their head over the edge looking at the rats, and they don't realize there's a train coming at like 60 miles an hour. Right. I don't know. It's just one of those things that I look at people. I look around since I'm always looking at people on the train. I see people just out of it, just sleeping. Like I can't sleep on the train. I cannot fall asleep. They say plenty of New Yorkers will fall asleep and then wake up when their stop's there. I'm sure I could probably do that, but why would you want to fall asleep on a train full of fucking strangers? Like you don't know what you like that lady from a couple podcast episodes ago where she was falling asleep and some dude peed on her face. Like what the fuck? Like that happens. That happens. The countless weird shit that you encounter on the train, you do not want to fall asleep on the train. No matter what time it is, you don't want to just be asleep. That's just the wrong. Like why? Yeah, like don't do that. Don't be that guy or girl, whatever, But let's talk about something more positive. Let's talk about what are we at? We're at over an hour. Yeah, we got an hour 15. All right, let's talk about something. Master Worlds in Jiu-Jitsu. Jiu-Jitsu Master World taking place in Las Vegas. Shout out to team Marcelo Garcia. That's right, to all the old folks. I'll be there next year. I've already set the goal for myself. So next year I'll be 30, which means I'll be old enough to compete at the Masters Worlds. Oh, shit. So I'm going to do it. When I was 22, I competed at the Adult World in 2010. I competed at the Adult Worlds as a white belt, and I did horribly. But that was so long ago. Right? That's when we first, around that time we started, like a year after we started training. Yeah. I did the Adult Worlds. So at 30, I'm going to do Masters Worlds in Las Vegas in 2018. I'm going to start. I've already started preparing. I've been training mad hard already. I've been getting my fucking ass kicked. Somebody told me you're a monster. Really? Yeah. Who told you that? Jen.
Okay, first off, Chin murders me. He says
he
I'm
was like, "Yo, Gomez, man."
I think he's just a super nice guy because I watched Chin murder somebody and then say, "Oh man, you're so good." I'm like, "Stop that." And I'm fat, so for those who don't know me in real life, my weight fluctuates constantly. Right now, I'm a good
fat Gomez, skinny Gomez.
Right, and then you got in between Gomez when I'm transitioning into my
he on
fat
that Oprah diet.
I am. I yo-yo like a motherfucker. When I'm training for competition, I'm pretty skinny. I'm pretty lean. I'm around 170 when I'm competing. Right now, I'm 220.
You weigh more than me.
That's right, I do. My left titty weighs more than you, bro. And so. But Chin, for those who don't know, our friend Chin is like what, 6'1" maybe?
Yeah, I'm 6'3", he's 6'1".
Right, and he's shredded. Chin,
yeah.
I've known Chin for almost 10 years.
I don't think he weighs 220.
No, he weighs like 180.
And you're like 220.
Yes, and he murders me. Chin, I have never seen Chin without abs. And I love Chin. He's a great guy. He's such a sweet guy.
He's funny. He'll be like in the locker room like, "Yo, man, I got to cut like you." Like, what?
What? I saw Chin the other day. Training, and I'm like, "Yo, you're such a beast. Yo, you're in such good shape." He goes,
like,
"Nah,
I'm fat. I'm out of shape."
He goes, "Man, I need to get in shape like you." I'm like, "What are you? I got tits, bro. What are you talking about? You look like a Greek god. You look like you're cut out of black marble. What are you talking about?" And like, he's just such a nice guy that his first instinct is to compliment you back. Now, I'm not gonna like totally shit on myself. Like, my jujitsu is pretty okay. It's like when I roll with Chin, I know enough. I'm good enough to hold him off.
Yeah.
Eventually, he's going to fuck me up. But it's just a matter of time. But I'm getting better at making...
Don't let him taste that blood.
Right. Like, you have to...
He had that music in his head. He's coming for
right.
you.
Exactly. Like,
there's certain... look in his eye.
Exactly. And you know, like, when you want to fight Chin. Like, you know, there's certain times when you see somebody like, I'll roll him. And the other times, like, no, never mind. I have my knee hurts. I'm not going to do that. I'm
with you, man.
Right. You just know. And it's fine. It's fine. But, like, Chin's out there at Worlds. J-Max out, and J-Max, another one who's just phenomenal. He's just, for his age, he's like in his late 40s.
Yeah, he's up
and
there.
He's in amazing shape, and he's just a savage.
Fucking juggernaut.
Yeah, you know, it's just, I don't know. I know that next year I'll be doing Worlds. I don't know if I'm gonna do any tournament. I mean, I'm assuming I'll do at least the New York Open that's coming up in the Summer Open that's gonna happen in 2018. I'll probably do that just to kind of get, because I haven't competed since I had just got my purple belt, so that's over 3 years ago. I haven't competed.
I think I've competed as purple once.
I haven't competed since the very first. So I got my brown belt a few months ago. So I'm still kind of growing into that. But I've been, like, the last month or so, I've been training really hard. Like, last night was a rough night. But, you know, that's how you got to do it. You got to train. Like, and I've made it a goal that I'm only training with purple belts, brown belts, or black belts.
Yeah.
Or if you're a blue belt and you're just a goddamn savage, I'll train with you. But I'm mostly focusing my training on purple belts. Anybody who's going to kick my ass or give me a really hard time is who I'm training with.
Deep into the pool.
Right. You have to, because at that point, like, I need people who are going to do shit to me that I'm not fully prepared to handle. And that's the only way, really, I'm going to, like, you know, this old saying, iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
If I want to get better, and plus rolling with people who are really going to make you work, it's only going to help me lose weight and not be fat. Yeah. So...
Like, when I was training, that's all I would do, would just stay in the deep end.
Mm-hmm.
The deep end is like, at Marcelo's, there's two sides. There's like
well, it's one long mat, but people end up separating themselves into two sides.
So they always call it the deep end of the pool.
Right. The deep end, usually at our gym, is towards the side where the offices are. So if you walk into Marcelo's, to the left when you walk in, that's usually where the higher end belts hang out. The purple belts, the really good purple belts, the brown belts, and the black belts all stay in that side. And then on the right side, towards the men's locker room, you have a smattering of different belts, but usually those are the people who aren't training as hard. I mean, it's overall, it's all hard training. But overall, if you go to the right side, you'll have a choice of lighter rolls.
Yeah.
But when you go to the left, son of a bitch, those are some hard motherfuckers to roll with.
You're gonna hate everybody when you're done.
Yeah, I mean, you'll feel good after you're done because you're alive, hopefully. But it's all hard training. Like, it's not uncommon to go into that side and just get fucked up and be like, oh shit.
Man, I haven't trained.
You gotta come back. You gotta stop.
I will come back.
You gotta stop fucking around.
Well, I'm not. It's not that I'm fucking around. I mean, I'm not. My employment isn't stable.
Sell drugs.
Nah, I thought about charging into my credit card.
Don't do that. I did that. Don't do that.
I thought about like just charging a year.
Well, you could do that. Do you have a card with points? Because then that would be helpful.
A card with the points?
Like reward points? Because then you'd for sure get like mad reward points.
Yeah.
What you should do is get a card that offers the reward points, and then like that does like the bonus, like the first couple thousand. If you spend X amount of money in the first week or first month, you get like Capital One does that. If you do spend like $3,000. Capital One. Oh, well, there you go. If you get like their venture card, I think it's called, or venture. If you spend like $3,000 in the first 2 months, which is easy to do if you live in New York City, you get like a bunch of bazillion extra points, and then you could use that on flights and shit. So, and you like to travel.
Because I haven't trained since May.
Man, it's been that long.
Yeah, man. That's when I quit the job and went freelance.
Oh man, you gotta train. It's good.
I mean,
just do a drop in or something. Well, no, you froze your account, right?
I froze my. Well, I didn't quit.
Right, you froze your account.
I froze my account. Yeah. Like at first it was like for 2 months, and they were like, well. Then I think the second time it was like, oh, I need a little bit longer. It was like just put a fucking long date. It was like instead of going back and forth, they just put a long date. So I put the date for October, my birthday actually. So I don't know. I got a few things in the works. I had a call with a guy today. So you know what it is, man? It's I'm gonna put this out there. It's not even that I'm unemployed. Like I'm freelancing, so I am employed, but I wasn't happy with anything that I was doing for the day job, man.
Yeah,
I wasn't happy. I wasn't,
and it ruins other things.
Yeah,
like if you're not happy with your day job, it'll bleed into your other activities that you do.
It was a domino effect. But you know what, man? Even if this conversation I had earlier today didn't come from anything with the guy, it was like I revamped my portfolio to the point where it was just like, my portfolio is me. Mm-hmm. Like I did the same thing with my art portfolio. I was like, I went through my art portfolio. I was like, damn, who am I as an artist? Who am I when people want to see John Smalls, the artist? Like what is my work, right? So I went through my portfolio, my art portfolio, and I did that. And that took a while. And then I got to a point with my design stuff, and I was like, well, I could do a bunch of shit. I could do a bunch of designs, but that's not what I want to do with my career. So that's one of the reasons why I quit the job. I was like, I just wasn't happy. I was doing, bullshit work, and it was eating at me inside. It really was. It was killing me inside, man. It was like, I can't do this shit anymore, and I just quit. I just fucking quit. And then now I'm at a place where I'm freelancing. It's okay, but I'm still not like 100% happy. It's just stress free. That's the only reason I'm there. It's stress free, but all the jobs that I'm going for now, it's like when I'm talking to people, I'm like, okay, well, this is what you want, this is what I can give you, and this is where we can go together.
Right.
So it's like a completely different conversation. I had a conversation with a guy earlier today, and he's asking me these questions, and I'm just like, listen, man, boom, boom, boom. And he's just like, he was kind of blown away. He was like, okay. He's asking me stuff. I'm like, I got that right on the site right now.
Yeah.
Like, boom. Because normally people, they don't really check my site. I'm like, listen, it's here. It's here. Mm-hmm. It's here. Like, I'm only applying to stuff where I know I want to do. I know where I'll be happy. And on top of everything, I know where I can grow. And, I mean, I don't know, man. For people who aren't creative, they might not understand. Like, I've had this talk with my family, and they don't get it. But I'm like, yo, man, I'm a creative person. I got to be driven. I got to be pushed.
To be inspired.
I got to be inspired. And I felt like because I wasn't happy with the day job shit, that affected everything in my fucking life. Like, I didn't want to go to jiu-jitsu. I wanted to go drink. I wanted to go fucking paint, And now, I'm to the point where I'm like, damn, I just dream about fucking going back to jiu-jitsu. I got brand new gis. I bought brand new fucking gis. I'm like,
I think you gotta feed that.
But I'm there,
Yeah, I mean, it'll always be there for one. But for me, at least, I can only speak for myself. For those who know me, know that I'm starting a new job on Monday. Tomorrow's my last day at my old job after 7 years, and those last 7 years have been really rough for me.
Yeah.
Mostly because I'm lazy, but also because I've had some transitions in life and some different directions where I'm going now. So overall, I'm going in a positive direction. But for me, jiu-jitsu has always been one of those outlets that have helped me cope with how shitty my day job is. Like,
Yeah, but jiu-jitsu also costs money to pay every month.
that's also very
So
true.
it's like,
yes.
if I'm freelancing, how can I?
Right. You have to justify the cost, and it's
Yes,
not
it's
cheap.
like-
And it's not cheap.
It's not cheap.
No, I totally get. But I think if you look at it as a way to balance you out, as sort of like a therapy, like a mental health thing, I think that's one way you can justify the cost. Because really, if you look at it and you're like, well, it's expensive. So if you can't really afford it, that's one thing. And I totally get that. That's cool. But like, if you can cut somewhere else and be like, well, jiu-jitsu provides me these benefits, you know, like it lets me get my aggression out, lets me refocus this energy that I'm having, where instead of killing my boss, I'll go to the gym and I'll just roll with my friends, and then afterwards, you know, we'll go ham, but then afterwards we'll shake hands and you know, we'll talk shit for an hour. I think it's a lot of like how you can like balance the reasoning. For me, that's how I look at it. Like, even if I was unemployed, I'd find a way to pay for jiu-jitsu. Like we're talking about putting it on the credit card. Like I would put it on my card, because even though it would cost me a lot of money, overall it would improve my life. So I would take that. For me, I would take that trade.
I'm thinking about it.
I mean, you gotta do what's comfortable for you.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm sure you'll find a job of like a more full-time thing soon.
Yeah.
So you'll be back, I'm sure, before your birthday.
I want to go 5 days a week, like we did when we first started.
Bro, we're not that young anymore.
I want to push it.
I do 3 days in a row, and I want to kill myself.
Like seriously,
My
I
body.
want to push it, man. I want to be like I'm already running. I'm running in the morning. Yeah. So
I ran
do
once.
I do 3 days a week. I run from here to Central Park, so I get my I get my cardio back, man.
From Central Park.
I mean, I bike to work every now and then, but I like running now, especially because it's not as hot anymore.
I think I would enjoy running when it's cooler out.
Nothing tops jiu-jitsu though. I will say that. It's like I could do all types of exercises to stay in shape, but nothing beats just rolling around with people, wrestling people.
It's like it's so many different aspects of like fitness and mental acuity. Like it tests you physically, it tests you mentally. Like I tell people this all the time when I try to explain to them what jiu-jitsu is. I'm like, imagine you, like, the worst position for me personally, and I'm not claustrophobic though, is when, and this happened to me last night, is when somebody mounts you and their gi is over your face and it's hot and you can't breathe. Like you can't breathe fresh air. All you can breathe is that stank that's in their gi and the sweat, and like it's humid. Like if you've never been in a position where there's somebody that you cannot get off of you, is on top of you, and they're pushing on your face and it hurts and you can't breathe because your face is covered and all you can breathe in is hot sweat. Like if you can't keep your composure, if you don't have the mental strength to relax, pull yourself together, figure out how to get out without expending more energy than you need to, which will make you more tired. It is a feeling like that's how I know if shit hits the fan mentally, like if things happen, that I'll be okay, because I know that even when I have somebody sitting on my fucking face and all I smell is fucking butt sweat, that I know 9 times out of 10 I'll find a way to get out.
It's like I've used that a similar analogy during interviews where they're like, "How are you with handling pressure?" I'm like,
Piece of cake.
Piece of cake. They're like, what? I'm like, I train jiu-jitsu. What do you mean? I'm like, listen, jiu-jitsu. I have somebody trying to choke me, trying to break my arms, trying to break my limbs, damage me every day or every time I'm training, right? So it's like, you get used to that after a while. That's pressure.
Right. I was talking to a friend of mine when I was interviewing.
This work shit ain't pressure.
Right. During my interview for this new job, they were asking me how I deal with pressure, and I'll be in a very customer-facing role. And they were telling me how it can be very scary for some people to talk to people they don't know, and working in an environment that's very busy and very chaotic. Yeah. And I'm like, this is nothing. I'm like, it's really. First off, I can talk to almost anybody. I feel like I have the ability to communicate, speak, very casually with almost anyone, as long as we both speak the same language. And I'm like, I was very forward with the guy too. I was like, hey, I train this martial art. It's, I do it every day. The pressure that I face there in that kind of environment where everybody just is a savage and everybody's just trying to physically dominate you. I'm like, that's the kind of pressure that I'm so used to, that when I'm working, whatever you throw at me, I'm just gonna take it. I'm just gonna handle it because it's nothing more than I've already experienced. So I'm like, you can pretty much throw anything at me, and I'm fairly certain I can handle it with a lot more grace than most people can. So I think that's one of those benefits. Like I don't put jiu-jitsu on my resume. I know a lot of people do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, because that's just kind of, for me, that's kind of weird.
I don't put it on my resume.
If it comes up, then it comes up.
Yeah.
But I don't put it like as a leadership role. Maybe if I get on a black belt, I don't know, maybe. Or if I start teaching jiu-jitsu at some point, maybe. But I think it's just one of those things where, like, if they ask you for an example of how you handle pressure, I think it's a very good, especially if you compete. You know, I'm like, I've competed at the World Championships where there's thousands of people. You know, and this is how I handle pressure or whatever. I
use it because I got, like, in my portfolio, I got, like, a lot of jiu-jitsu shit.
Well, yeah, mine too. In my photography portfolio, I have a lot of jiu-jitsu photos.
But the last two companies were, like, athletic brands.
That helps a lot.
Yeah, it came in. They were interested, even though they had no idea about martial arts. They were like, "What do you do? You know, what kind of stuff do you do?"
I do karate. I do kung fu.
Jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu. I do Wing Chun.
Oh, so you the guy, if I get some shit, you fuck him up. I'm like, I'm really a spectator, not a competitor. One guy said that to me. He was like, yeah, so if I get in, I talk a lot of shit. If I get in something, you gonna help me out and fight? I'm like, nah. Man, I'll watch.
I tell him I've been making jokes on the side.
I'll pull out my phone and yell out World
Star. I'll record in portrait mode just so you know it's real. I'll record in portrait mode so it blend in that ratchet stuff.
I ain't saving your life, man.
That's right. All right, I think we've pretty much. I think we may have broken the record. What are we at? Hour 30?
Yeah.
All right. You want to close it out?
Yeah. You always had this one line. You always say that. You know that, right?
I do.
You're like, what else we got?
What else we got? Ladies and gentlemen.
I was listening to the episodes and I was like, he always says that shit.
That's like, my tagline. You know, everybody's got a tagline.
What else we got?
What else we got? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Chico and the Grin.
Yeah, too bad Goya, it didn't work out. You know, it was a whole microphone issue with Skype.
We will get that sorted out.
He's hilarious.
We had us dying when we were trying to figure out how to get... We were laughing a lot.
Yeah, he talked about a stripper with a own pole in her apartment.
Yep.
She was ugly.
Yeah,
horrible.
she wasn't that great. But
he loved her.
Yeah, we're gonna get her. We're gonna get him on the podcast at some point once we figure out the technical side.
Yeah,
we do apologize for that, but thank you for joining us.
Yes.
As always, please rate us on iTunes and Google Play. If you have a question, if you have a comment, let us know.
Yo, for real, leave a review,
please.
The best review, you might receive a print from Gomez or an illustration from me,
or a phone call where me and Smalls make fun of you,
or that,
whatever you want. Let us know. If you check us out on,
or a nega pics of Sparks,
that too, drawn like one of your French girls. So let us know, for real, please. Rate us on iTunes, rate us on Google, subscribe, send us an email, chicoandthegrin@gmail.com. Let us know what you think. If you're a fan, let us know. If you hate us, also let us know.
Follow us on Facebook. Hit us up on Instagram. Yep. We love Instagram.
Facebook.com/ChicoandTheGrin. Instagram is Chico and the Grin. Everything is Chico and the Grin. Twitter. If you want to follow myself on
Twitter's
Instagram, you can follow me at _ Stefan Gomez. If you want to follow Smalls, it's at @RBySmalls, right?
Everything.
So follow us. Let us know. We'll follow you back.
No, we won't.
Maybe not. But we'd like to hear from you. We're trying to create a connection between whoever's listening and us. You know, if you're into conspiracies, let us know.
Yo,
into art, let us know.
We also want to have a meetup at some point. Yeah. If we get enough people interested, because right now we don't know who the fuck is who. Right.
Let's grab some beers. Let's go to Double Down and the Lower East Side, the Dirty Trash Bar,
and have a fucking live recording there.
Maybe
that would be dope.
Or just get some beer. We could watch midget porn on the CRT TVs.
That would be dope. Do they have a private room?
They have
space in the back.
They opened that up. They knocked the wall down and made an arcade. That's where they used to have were you there when they brought out the stripper?
No. I know they had like the old 70s porn on the TVs.
Yeah, but there's that room. There's a room, like there's an exit that goes into the back.
Yes,
they have
I remember
an
that.
Outdoor area.
Yeah.
But there was a door to the side that was always roped off.
Okay.
Inside there was always, like, I don't know who was in there, but one time we were there and a stripper came out and she was walking around the bar and like with her titties out. but they knocked that wall down into that room and they
Yeah.
turned it into an arcade.
Huh.
So now there's like games and stuff. But
shit.
if you're interested in doing a meetup, let us
It's
know.
like old school
Yeah.
Lower East Side shit.
Yeah. It's like one of the last punk bars left in New York City
Yeah.
because New York City is full of white people now. But let us know. We'll be back in 2 weeks.
Yep.
For another recording. All right. I mean, you got anything left to say, Smalls? Got anything
Nope.
else? What else you got? All right. Take care.
I got nothing.
Chico out.
Peace.